Assalamualaikum and hi to the viewers of Ministry of Health Live. Hope you guys are doing well. Actually, this live was conducted is because we are worried about the statistics that been shown on pupils' blood pressure condition. So I hope you guys can focus during our live today and get the output that I'll be given as our awareness about the blood pressure issues. For today live, we have Nurin and Sofia as a statistician and also Isha Nabila that is a database administrator. Based on the statistics that have been collected among 11 respondents with different ages, we can see that age cannot be as an indicator for us to jump onto a conclusion that the higher the age, there is high probability to get blood pressure. It's surely because it depends either because of the environment or it also can be from the presence from the descent. In this study, we have collected two variables, which is depending variable, which is blood pressure, and also is independent variable, which is age. So here, I will pass to the Nurin and Sofia to talk about the methodology of this study.
Assalamualaikum and hi, I greet to the Minister of Health and everyone who's watching this live right now. I'm Sophia, a statistician, and I'm going to explain some methodology that we use to present the data. So, we have three types of methodology that we use, which are data description, graphical technique, and numerical technique. So, we will go through one by one of this method. First, the data description method. In this method, we will divide the information into two, which is a dependent variable and independent variables. The dependent variable is a variable that represents a quantity which the value depends on how the independent variable is manipulated, while independent variable is a variable that represents a quantity that is being manipulated. So in this case, the independent variable is the age, which is measured in years, and the dependent variable is the blood pressure, which is measured in millimeter of mercury. These two variables is the same type of variable, which is the quantitative variable. A quantitative variable is a discrete variable, and the data was measured on a number scale, and it will obtain a numerical response, and the numerical response will resulting to form a measurement method. The second method is by using the graphical technique. In this technique, we have two types of chart that we can use. First is the box and whisker plot chart. Why did we choose this type of chart? Box and whisker plot is used to demonstrating the locality, spread, and skewness group of the numerical data through their quartiles. So we can see the distribution will skew to the left or right based on data. The variable x is the age which is located at x-axis, while the blood pressure will be the variable y which is located at the y-axis. We will see the result after this. Another chart that we use is the scatter plot. A scatter plot uses dots to represent values and two different numeric variables. The position of each dot on the horizontal and vertical axis indicates value of an individual data point. Scatter plots are used to observe relationship between the two variables. So we will also see the scatter plot after this. The last method that we use is the numerical method. In numerical method, we use 5 statistical techniques. The first one is the measure of the central tendency. In this method, we will find the mean, median, and the mode by using its formula that is stated here. The second one is the measures of dispersion. In these measures of dispersion, we calculate the variance, standard deviation, and range as the formula shown here. The third technique is the measures of position. In this method, we will find the maximum and the minimum position, and also the first quartile, second quartile, and the third quartile. The formula is as shown here. Next, the fourth technique is the correlation analysis. In this analysis technique, we will see the percentage product moment correlation coefficient, which is the R, and besides that, we also find the coefficient of determination, which is the R square. We can find these two things using this formula over here. And last but not least, the fifth numerical method is the regression analysis. We will find the linear regression using this formula over here. So I guess that's all the methodology that we use to calculate the data. I hope you all understand how we do it.
Thank you, Sophia, for the explanation. Next, we pass to Isha Nabila for the results and interpretation that were obtained from the study report.
Assalamualaikum and greetings everyone. First, I would like to thank Mrs. Izzati, the Minister of Health, for inviting me to today's discussion about the relationship between age and level of blood pressure in Malaysia. And also nice to meet you, Miss Sophia, a statistician from the Circle Inn, and also nice to meet all the audience. Well, without wasting more time, I will continue our discussion today with the next subtopic, which is results and interpretation. So as you can see, this is our latest data about the relationship between age and level blood pressure in Malaysia that we get from the study. Referring to the first figure, which is the age factor, we can conclude that the distribution is skewed to the right. Whereas the second figure, which is blood pressure, we can conclude that the distribution is also skewed to the right. Next, for the plot graph of the distribution by age and blood pressure, it is showing that there is no correlation between age and blood pressure. This is because the distribution shown is scattered and does not have a fixed pattern such as ascending or descending. Moreover, for the descriptive statistic analysis, for the first table, which is statistic of age, the mean value that we get from the table is 36.364 years. So we can say the average age is 36.364 years. Secondly is median value. Median value that we get is 32 years. So we can say that 50% of people with high blood pressure are less than 32 years, while another 50% more than 32 years. Thirdly is mode value. The mode value that we get from the table is 32 years. So we can say the most people with high blood pressure is 32 years. For the second table, which is statistic of blood pressure, the mean value that we get from the table is 130.455 millimeter mercury. So we can say the average of blood pressure is 130.455 millimeter mercury. Secondly is median value. The median value that we get from the table is 120 millimeter mercury. So we can say that 50% of the blood pressure are less than 120 millimeter mercury, while another 50% is more than 120 millimeter mercury. And thirdly is mode value. The mode value that we get from the table is also 120 millimeter mercury. So we can say that the most blood pressure is 120 millimeter mercury. Next, and the last subtopic, which is the correlation and regression analysis. For the first table, which is model summary of age, the Pearson's product moment correlation coefficient value that we get from the table is 0.558. So we can conclude there is a moderate positive linear relationship between age and blood pressure. And for the coefficient of determination value we get from the table is 31.2%. So we can conclude that there is 31.2% of variation of blood pressure can be explained by the variation of age, and the remaining of 68.8% is explained by other factors. Lastly, which is for the second table, which is coefficients, we let Y for blood pressure, which is millimeter mercury, and let X for age factor, which is in years. And for the linear regression equation, we can equal to 62.213 plus 1.877x. So we can conclude that when age is increased by 1 year, so the blood pressure will increase by 1.877 millimeter mercury. So, alright, that's all from me for the results and interpretation. So I hope you guys can gain a new information from this discussion. So that was from me. Thank you.
Thank you to Isha and also Sophia. To conclude, we can see that the result shown the data was skewed to the right. They indicate that the difference between the mean and mode is higher than 0. This is also conclude that age is not the main factor of the disease to come to us. What we can say that is increasing a year have a probability for the respondents to increase their blood pressure level by 1.877 millimeters of mercury. By this, I hope that we can get the proactive measures to have a healthy body and also the healthy life. I think that's all from us, which is the Ministry of Health. See you in the next live with different topic. Assalamualaikum and goodbye.